Hello everyone, and this is the first tutorial based on Maya setting up preferences, creating a new folder, creating a new project, setting up your preference, how you like to have them. I have this sheet here downloaded with the tips, but sometimes it's easier to make a folder or make a video, kind of walk you through it, so I suggest you do the same thing. So if you're new to Maya and you're opening up, you're going to click on it and you'll walk through the default screen, then finally you get to your home interface page. Here it is. Some things we want to do there before we get started, and these are things that we do to the preferences that remain in effect every time basically you open up the project yourself. Now if you open up a different account or different project on another computer, it's not going to be the same way, but every time you open up on your one that you've set your preferences like this, it should be still the same unless someone's came in and updated it. But so before we all get into the interface explanation, these are a few things I want to do just to make sure if we do any work, everything is working right. We go to Windows, we go to Settings, Preferences. First thing I do is I go down here to my undo and I click Infinite and make sure that's clicked Infinite. Reason is because if you create anything in here, just like with any program, Control Z undoes that action. So if you create 3 to 4 different actions in here, you can Control Z every single time and it'll go back to the original base. And you want an infinite amount of times as you can do that, not set at like 50 or 25. Files, project. Make sure you enable autosave, and then you can give it a time limit. Some people prefer 20 minutes, some people prefer 30 minutes. I usually have mine set at 10 minutes. No reason why, I just have it at that. You can probably try 15 minutes, you'd be fine. If you're really paranoid, you could try 5 minutes, but then every time those minutes pass, you're going to get a window come up and it's going to ask you to save it. So just be prepared. So then you want to save your preferences, and you really don't need to do anything else in there. So now, basically, whenever you start a new project, you're going to want to learn how to basically save the scene and set a project window up or a project folder. And it's pretty basic. Maya kind of saves everything into a bunch of subfolders instead of just saving as a file. Say if you save scene as something demo, and it just will save a file. Say if I save demo as a file on my desktop, it's just going to give me this here ASCII file. Excuse my desktop, maybe a little messy, but I think it's fine. It's saved right here. Well, you know, that's fine and all, but you need to, if you add images and if you have any kind of assets that go with the Maya project, you're going to need to keep it all together. So what Maya does, it creates a folder with little tiny subfolders. The way we'll do that is go to your project window. So we're going to create new project, and all you do is just grab a new name. This is demo. That way we'll know where it's at. Then you set the location of where that folder is going to be at. And what it's going to do is create all these subfolders right here. Images, assets, source images, render data. You want it on your desktop. Select the desktop. Accept. Now if you look on your desktop, it has created a subfolder or a folder named demo. All these subfolders, which will contain all your assets and stuff and your actual scenes that you'll save down. Now let's drop something in here, and I'm just, for demonstration purposes, this is a circle here. I'm going to save this scene as, because usually if you don't have nothing in the scene, it won't let you save a scene already. It will say nothing to save. It automatically saves scenes. It's automatically going to save it into the scenes folder, and that's where you need to be saving it at. So we'll just name this one Sphere. And I would save a my ASCII file. You have binary file and my ASCII, but I use ASCII files. Binaries are good, but I have more luck with the ASCII files, so won't get into that right now. But save as student version, save it. Now, if you look into the folder and to the scene files, you have your scene folder. And every time you save it, it's going to be saved there. So another important thing to do, say you did some work here. We created two spheres in here. Well, I don't want that. I want to go, we did a bunch of work. I want to go back and I've been saving. I want to go back to my first version. A good way to do that is go to Save Scene in the box. Have this incremental save. So you save the scene. That way what it does is in your scene folder, now you have an incremental save of the version, and it will do that sporadically, basically. In other words, if you just if you do a bunch of work and you like control undo, then you've lost all that work. But if you want to go, like, say if you've been working all day on a project and you want to go back to basically the state that you were working in at noontime, you can go back to that incremental save that you saved at noontime, which may be labeled, scene 2, compared to like you may be on scene 10. It's solely up to you. Archive scene will basically make a zip file of everything, and it will save so you can like transfer all the data whenever everything's loaded in there. It will archive basically all of this together. So let's talk about this interface now. So that basically covers, the setting up of the preferences, kind of the worksheet I gave you. Best thing to do is to kind of make a practice folder, basically, and just see where it's at and see all the photos you got in there, and make sure you know where it's at, and make sure that you're comfortable with like making your practice folder. Save a scene, name it something, then find it. The good thing about this is whenever you transfer this stuff to another computer or someone else to critique, you can either have this whole thing archived, or you can send it to make it a zip file and send it, so that way if you've added anything in the image folders, your assets that you're using, all of it goes with it. Mine's big on like the images being called to a certain folder, and if they can't find the folder, then you'll just basically have a blank slate and you won't be able to transfer it. So okay, so that's setting up preferences and your naming convention. And yeah, if any questions on that, just feel free to hit me up.